Every morning, as the first rays of sunlight stretched across the quiet suburban neighborhood, a young girl named Mia stood on the corner of her street. Her curly brown hair bounced lightly in the breeze, and her bright green backpack hung loosely over one shoulder. She wasn't waiting for the school bus or meeting friends. Instead, she was focused on something much simpler, yet deeply meaningful. Across the street, just a few houses down, lived Keanu Reeves. Yes, the Keanu Reeves, the famous actor known for his roles in blockbuster movies and his reputation as one of Hollywood's nicest guys. Mia had discovered that Keanu lived nearby by accident. One day, while playing outside with her dog, Max, she spotted him walking out of his house. At first, she thought it couldn't possibly be him. It seemed too good to be true. But when he turned around and gave her a small wave, there was no mistaking it. It was really him. From that moment on, Mia decided to make waving to Keanu part of her daily routine. Every single morning, rain or shine, she would stand on the corner at exactly 7:30 a.m. waiting for him to step outside. And every time, without fail, Keanu would smile and wave back. It wasn't just any ordinary wave, though. To Mia, it felt like magic. There was something about the way Keanu carried himself, calm, kind, and completely genuine, that made her feel special. In her eyes, he wasn't just a movie star. He was someone who took the time to acknowledge her, even if their interaction lasted only a few seconds. For Mia, those brief moments were enough to brighten her entire day. Whether she was nervous about an upcoming test or feeling sad because her best friend had moved away, seeing Keanu's warm smile always reminded her that everything would be okay. Keanu, on the other hand, found the situation equally heartwarming. Living in this peaceful neighborhood allowed him to escape the chaos of fame and live a relatively normal life. He enjoyed the simplicity of his surroundings, the tree-lined streets, the chirping birds, and the friendly neighbors. But what surprised him most was how much he looked forward to seeing Mia each morning. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and her unwavering dedication to showing up at the same spot every day amused him. Over time, their little tradition became a cherished part of his routine. No matter how busy his schedule got, he always made sure to pause and wave back before heading off to work or running errands. Their connection might have seemed trivial to outsiders, but to both of them, it held immense value. For Mia, it was more than just waving to a celebrity. It was a reminder that even someone as extraordinary as Keanu could take the time to notice an ordinary girl like her. For Keanu, it was a humbling experience. Despite all his success and fame, he realized how powerful even the smallest acts of kindness could be. A simple wave might not seem like much, but to Mia, it meant the world. As weeks turned into months, their bond grew stronger, albeit silently. They never exchanged words beyond polite greetings during chance encounters at local coffee shops or grocery stores. Yet, there was an unspoken understanding between them, a mutual appreciation for the joy they brought into each other's lives through such a simple gesture. People in the neighborhood began to notice too. Some mornings, curious, passers-by would stop to watch the exchange, smiling at the sight of Mia's boundless energy and Keanu's patient demeanor. Word spread quickly among the residents, and soon, everyone knew about the girl who waves to Keanu Reeves. Despite the growing attention, neither Mia nor Keanu let it change their routine. Mia continued to show up faithfully every morning, her excitement undiminished. Keanu, meanwhile, remained as humble and approachable as ever, treating Mia with the same warmth and respect he showed everyone else. To him, she wasn't just another fan. She was a member of the community, someone whose presence added a touch of brightness to his otherwise hectic life. But life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges our way, and sometimes, even the simplest routines can be disrupted. One crisp autumn morning, as Keanu stepped out of his house, coffee mug in hand, he noticed something unusual. The corner where Mia usually stood was empty. There was no sign of her cheerful grin, no energetic wave to greet him. At first, he assumed she might have overslept or gone somewhere with her family. After all, kids have busy lives too, filled with school projects, sports practices, and weekend outings. Still, the absence of her familiar figure left a strange void in his morning. The next day came, and still no Mia. By the third morning, Keanu couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Her absence weighed heavily on his mind, gnawing at him like an unanswered question. He tried to convince himself that it was none of his business, that parents often kept their children's schedules private, but deep down he knew he couldn't ignore it. His gut told him to investigate, to find out why Mia hadn't been standing on the corner, waving her usual greeting. Little did he know this decision would set off a chain of events that would change both their lives forever. In the days that followed, Keanu's curiosity turned into concern. He replayed their interactions in his head, searching for clues he might have missed. Had Mia mentioned anything about being sick? Was her family planning a trip? The uncertainty bothered him more than he cared to admit. Finally, unable to resist any longer, he resolved to take action. That afternoon, he walked up to Mia's house, feeling slightly awkward about intruding but driven by a sense of responsibility. What he discovered there would leave a lasting impact on him and on Mia, as their story unfolded in ways neither of them could have predicted. Keanu stood at the doorstep of Mia's house, hesitating for a moment before finally knocking. He wasn't sure what to expect, or how her family might react to his sudden visit. After all, he was just the neighbor who waved back every morning. Nothing more. Still, the thought of Mia not being okay gnawed at him, and he couldn't ignore it any longer. When the door opened, a woman with tired eyes and a gentle smile greeted him. She introduced herself as Mia's mother, Sarah. "Hi, I'm Keanu," he said, feeling a bit awkward but determined to explain his presence. "I live down the street, and I noticed that Mia hasn't been outside lately. Is everything all right?" Sarah's expression softened, and she nodded slightly. "Oh, you're the one she waves to every morning," she said, her voice tinged with both surprise and gratitude. "She talks about you all the time. You've made quite an impression on her." Keanu smiled faintly, though his concern remained. "I just wanted to check in. I hope it's okay that I stopped by." Sarah stepped aside and invited him in, explaining that Mia hadn't been feeling well for the past few days. At first they thought it was just a cold or maybe allergies, but when her symptoms worsened, they took her to the doctor. The tests were still ongoing, and no one seemed to know exactly what was wrong. Sarah spoke softly, trying to stay strong, but her worry was evident. As she talked, Keanu listened intently, his heart sinking with each word. "I didn't realize," he said quietly, after she finished. "If there's anything I can do to help, please let me know." Sarah thanked him, sincerely, touched by his kindness. She led him to Mia's room where the young girl lay resting in bed. Her usual spark seemed dimmed, her face pale and drawn, but when she saw Keanu standing in the doorway, her eyes lit up instantly. For a brief moment, it was as if nothing had changed. She was still the same Mia who waved to him every morning. "Keanu," she exclaimed weakly, managing a small smile. "What are you doing here?" He walked over to her bedside, pulling up a chair. "I missed your wave," he said lightly, trying to keep the mood upbeat. "Figured I should come see what's going on." Mia giggled softly, clearly delighted by his visit. They chatted for a while, mostly about light-hearted topics like movies, school, and Max, her energetic dog. Despite her condition, Mia's spirit shone through, reminding Keanu of why he admired her so much. Even in the face of illness, she maintained a sense of optimism that was truly remarkable. After spending some time with Mia, Keanu left the house with a heavy heart. He couldn't stop thinking about her situation and how helpless she must feel. That night, as he sat alone in his living room, he realized he needed to do more. It wasn't enough to simply visit and offer words of encouragement. If there was a way to help Mia get better, he wanted to find it. The next day, Keanu reached out to a close friend who worked in the medical field. He explained Mia's case and asked if anyone could provide insight or guidance. His friend promised to look into it and connect him with specialists who might be able to assist. Over the following days, Keanu became proactive, making calls, sending emails, and using his network to gather information. Though he preferred to stay out of the spotlight, he didn't hesitate to leverage his connections for Mia's sake. Meanwhile, Mia's health continued to fluctuate. Some days she felt a little stronger and even managed to sit by the window, watching the world go by. On those occasions, Keanu would stop by to wave from the sidewalk, giving her a reason to smile. Other days, however, were harder. Fatigue and pain kept her confined to her bed, and Keanu could see the toll it was taking on her and her family. Despite the challenges, he remained a constant presence, visiting whenever he could and bringing small gifts to cheer her up, a puzzle book, a stuffed animal, or a DVD of one of his older films. One evening, as Keanu sat in Mia's room reading a story aloud, Sarah entered with tears in her eyes. She held a folder containing the latest test results, which revealed a rare autoimmune disorder. While the diagnosis offered some clarity, it also meant that Mia's road to recovery would be long and uncertain. The treatment required specialized care, frequent hospital visits, and expensive medications, things that Sarah admitted were overwhelming for their family to handle alone. Keanu listened silently, his jaw tightening as he processed the news. Without hesitation, he assured Sarah that she wouldn't have to face this burden by herself. "Let me help," he said firmly. "Whatever it takes, we'll figure it out together." Over the next few weeks, Keanu threw himself into supporting Mia and her family. He arranged for consultations with top doctors, coordinated appointments, and even covered some of the medical expenses. He never made a big deal out of it. Instead, he treated it as a natural extension of the friendship he'd formed with Mia. To him, it wasn't about being a celebrity or doing something extraordinary. It was about being human and helping someone in need. As Mia began receiving the care she required, her condition gradually improved. The treatments were tough and there were setbacks along the way, but her resilience never wavered. With Keanu's support, her family found strength they didn't know they had. Slowly but surely, Mia started to regain her energy, her laughter, returning brighter than ever. During this time, Keanu's bond with Mia grew even deeper. Their daily waves had evolved into something far greater, a testament to the power of kindness and connection. For Mia, Keanu wasn't just the actor from down the street anymore. He was her hero, someone who had stepped in when she needed him most. And for Keanu, Mia reminded him of the beauty and simplicity and the profound impact of showing up for others, even in the smallest ways. Though Mia's journey was far from over, the light at the end of the tunnel grew brighter with each passing day. Together, they proved that sometimes the most meaningful relationships are built on the simplest foundations: a wave, a smile, and a shared moment of humanity. As the weeks passed, Mia's treatment began to show signs of progress. The specialists Keanu had connected her with were among the best in their field, and they worked tirelessly to create a plan tailored specifically for her condition. It wasn't easy. There were days when Mia felt too weak to even sit up, and others when the medications left her feeling nauseous or dizzy. But despite the challenges, she faced everything with courage and determination. Her family watched in awe as she tackled each hurdle, her spirit unbroken. Keanu continued to play an active role in Mia's recovery. He visited her regularly, bringing books, puzzles, and little surprises to keep her entertained during the long hours spent at home or in the hospital. Sometimes, he'd read aloud from one of the novels he enjoyed, his deep voice filling the room with warmth. Other times, he'd share funny stories about mishaps on movie sets or amusing encounters with fans, making Mia laugh until her sides hurt. These moments became a lifeline for her, a way to escape the reality of her illness even if only for a short while. But it wasn't just Mia who benefited from Keanu's presence. Sarah, Mia's mother, found comfort in knowing that someone else understood the weight of their situation. Keanu listened patiently whenever she needed to vent her fears or frustrations, offering words of encouragement without judgment. He also helped shoulder some of the practical burdens, arranging transportation for appointments and ensuring that Mia had access to everything she needed. His actions spoke louder than any words could, proving that his support went beyond mere gestures. It was genuine and unwavering. The neighborhood, too, rallied around Mia and her family. Word of Keanu's involvement spread quickly, inspiring others to pitch in however they could. Neighbors organized meal deliveries, taking turns bringing over homemade dinners so Sarah wouldn't have to worry about cooking after long days at the hospital. A local teacher volunteered to tutor Mia, helping her stay caught up with schoolwork, despite missing classes. Even Max, Mia's loyal dog, seemed to sense the importance of staying close, curling up beside her bed and wagging his tail whenever she smiled. Through it all, Mia remained grateful, not just for the help but for the love and kindness everyone showed her. She often told Keanu how lucky she felt to live in such a caring community. "I know I'll get better," she said one afternoon, as they played a board game together. "Everyone believes in me, and that makes me stronger." Her optimism touched Keanu deeply. In many ways, Mia reminded him of why he cherished this quiet corner of Los Angeles. Away from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, life here was rooted in authenticity and connection. People looked out for one another, not because they expected anything in return, but because it was the right thing to do. Being part of Mia's journey reinforced his belief in the goodness of humanity, a lesson he carried with him every day. Still, there were moments when doubt crept in. One evening, after a particularly difficult appointment, Keanu sat alone in his car outside the hospital, staring at the steering wheel. The doctor's update hadn't been promising, and though Mia tried to hide her disappointment, Keanu could see the worry in her eyes. For the first time since stepping into her life, he wondered if he was doing enough. Was there something more he could be doing? Someone else he should call? The thought of failing Mia weighed heavily on him. When he finally returned home, he decided to take action. He reached out to a foundation dedicated to supporting families affected by rare diseases, explaining Mia's case and asking for advice. To his relief, they offered to send additional resources and connect him with other families who had gone through similar experiences. Keanu immediately shared the news with Sarah, who broke down in tears of gratitude. "You've done so much already," she said. "We couldn't ask for a better friend." With renewed hope, Mia's treatment plan expanded to include experimental therapies that showed promise for patients with her condition. Traveling to specialized clinics required significant effort, but Keanu made sure every detail was taken care of. He arranged flights, accommodations, and even accompanied Mia and her mother on some trips, ensuring they never felt alone. During these journeys, Mia marveled at the world beyond her neighborhood, the bustling cities, the vast landscapes, the endless possibilities. Though her body was fragile, her dreams grew bigger with each passing day. Back home, life slowly began to resemble its former rhythm. On good days, Mia was able to spend time outside, soaking up the sunshine and breathing fresh air. Keanu joined her whenever he could, sitting on the porch or taking short walks around the block. They talked about everything: her favorite books, her aspirations for the future, and the adventures she hoped to embark on once she was fully recovered. Listening to her speak, Keanu couldn't help but feel inspired. Despite everything she'd been through, Mia's outlook on life remained refreshingly positive. One sunny morning, as spring blossoms began to bloom, Mia stood on the corner of her street once again. This time, however, it wasn't just to wave at Keanu, it was to celebrate her progress. Her doctors had recently declared that her condition was stabilizing thanks to the combination of treatments and therapies. While she still had a long road ahead, the improvement was undeniable. Filled with excitement, she waited eagerly for Keanu to step outside. When he appeared, coffee mug in hand, Mia waved enthusiastically, her smile wider than ever before. Keanu grinned back, raising his mug in a mock toast. "Welcome back," he called out, his voice filled with pride. "I missed seeing you here." Mia laughed, her cheeks flushing with happiness. "I missed waving to you," she replied. "And guess what? I'm going to start walking to school again soon." Hearing those words, Keanu felt a surge of joy. It was a milestone worth celebrating, a testament to Mia's strength and resilience. Together they stood there for a moment, basking in the beauty of ordinary life. For Keanu, it was a reminder of how powerful small acts of kindness could be. For Mia, it was proof that no matter how tough things got, there was always light at the end of the tunnel. As the days turned into weeks, Mia's routine gradually returned to normal. She resumed attending school, playing with Max, and spending time with her friends. Yet she never forgot the role Keanu had played in her recovery. To her, he was more than just a neighbor. He was a guardian angel who had stepped in when she needed him most. And though their daily waves might have seemed simple, they symbolized something far greater. A bond forged through compassion, trust, and shared humanity. Keanu, for his part, cherished the experience just as deeply. Helping Mia had reminded him of the importance of staying grounded and connected to the people around him. Fame and success meant little compared to the fulfillment he found in making a difference in someone's life. As he looked back on everything they'd been through together, he realized that sometimes the most meaningful relationships are built not on grand gestures, but on the quiet, steady presence of someone willing to care. Even as Mia grew stronger and more independent, their connection endured. Whether it was sharing a laugh over a silly joke or simply exchanging smiles across the street, the bond they shared remained unshakable. Their story served as a reminder that kindness has the power to transform lives, not just for the recipient, but for the giver as well. And in a world often clouded by chaos and uncertainty, that was a truth worth holding on to. As the months went by, Mia's health continued to improve. The treatments were working, and though she still faced occasional setbacks, her progress was undeniable. She grew stronger with each passing day, regaining the energy she once had. Her laughter returned, louder and more frequent, filling the neighborhood with a sense of joy that hadn't been there before. For Keanu, seeing Mia thrive was one of the most rewarding experiences he'd ever had. It wasn't about recognition or praise. It was about witnessing the resilience of a young girl who refused to give up. One Saturday morning, Mia woke up earlier than usual, excitement bubbling inside her. Today was special. After weeks of planning and preparation, she was finally going to host a small gathering in her backyard. A thank you party for everyone who had supported her during her illness. She wanted to express her gratitude in the best way she knew how, by bringing people together. Sarah helped her decorate the space with colorful streamers and balloons, while Max wagged his tail enthusiastically, sensing the buzz of activity. Keanu arrived just as the sun began to rise, carrying a tray of homemade cookies he'd baked himself. He smiled when he saw Mia standing near the entrance, greeting guests with a wide grin. She looked radiant, her eyes sparkling with happiness. When she spotted him, she ran over and threw her arms around him in a tight hug. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "This wouldn't have happened without you." Keanu chuckled softly, patting her gently on the back. "You're the one who made this possible," he replied. "I'm just here to enjoy the party." The backyard soon filled with neighbors, friends, and even some of Mia's classmates. Everyone brought something to share: cakes, sandwiches, fruit platters, all contributing to the festive atmosphere. Laughter echoed through the air as people mingled, sharing stories and memories. For many, it was the first time they'd seen Mia so lively and carefree since her diagnosis. It was a celebration not just of her recovery but of the community that had come together to support her. During the event, Mia stood at the center of the yard, holding a microphone borrowed from her school's drama club. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was steady as she addressed the crowd. "I want to say thank you to everyone here today," she began, her gaze sweeping across the faces of those gathered. "When I got sick, I didn't know what would happen, but because of all of you, I never felt alone. You made me believe I could get better." Her words brought tears to several eyes, including Sarah's, who stood nearby, clutching a tissue. Keanu watched quietly, feeling a lump form in his throat. He admired Mia's courage, not just in fighting her illness but in openly expressing her gratitude. She was wise beyond her years, understanding the value of connection and kindness, in a way that many adults struggled to grasp. After finishing her speech, Mia turned to Keanu and motioned for him to join her. Reluctantly, he stepped forward, unsure of what she intended. "There's someone I need to thank especially," she said, looking directly at him. "Keanu has been my hero throughout everything. He didn't just wave to me every morning, he became my friend, my supporter, and my guide. I don't think I'll ever be able to repay him for everything he's done." The crowd erupted into applause, cheering loudly as Keanu shifted uncomfortably under the spotlight. He wasn't used to being the center of attention, especially in such an intimate setting, but Mia's heartfelt words touched him deeply. "You don't have to thank me," he said softly, leaning down to meet her gaze. "Seeing you happy is all the reward I need." Later that afternoon, as the party wound down and guests began to leave, Keanu stayed behind to help clean up. Together with Mia and Sarah, they packed away leftovers, folded chairs, and tidied up the yard. As they worked, Mia chatted animatedly about her plans for the future. She talked about returning to school full-time, joining the art club, and maybe even starting a blog to document her journey. Her enthusiasm was contagious, leaving Keanu inspired by her determination to make the most of every opportunity. "You've got big dreams," he remarked as they carried empty plates inside. "I can't wait to see where life takes you." Mia grinned, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "And I can't wait to keep waving to you every morning," she replied. "That's part of my dream, too." Over the next few weeks, Mia settled back into her routine, balancing schoolwork, hobbies, and spending time with her friends. Yet she never forgot the lessons she'd learned during her illness, or the role Keanu had played in helping her heal. Their daily waves continued, serving as a reminder of their shared journey. To Mia, it was more than just a gesture. It was a symbol of hope, friendship, and the power of human connection. For Keanu, the experience left an indelible mark on his heart. He realized that sometimes the smallest actions could create the biggest impact. Waving to Mia every morning might have seemed insignificant at first, but it had blossomed into something far greater, a bond built on trust, compassion, and mutual respect. It reminded him of why he loved living in this quiet neighborhood, where people cared for one another in ways that transcended fame or fortune. One evening, as Keanu sat on his porch reading a book, Mia appeared at the edge of his driveway, holding a small package wrapped in colorful paper. She approached hesitantly, her cheeks tinged with pink. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" she asked shyly. "Of course," Keanu replied, setting his book aside. "What's on your mind?" Mia handed him the package, her fingers trembling slightly. "I made this for you," she said. "It's nothing fancy, but I wanted to give you something to say thank you, properly." Curious, Keanu unwrapped the gift carefully. Inside was a handmade photo album filled with pictures documenting their journey together, from early mornings on the corner to candid shots taken during her recovery. Each page included captions written in Mia's neat handwriting, capturing moments of laughter, encouragement, and triumph. At the very end, she had included a note. "To Keanu, my hero and my friend, thank you for believing in me when I needed it most." Keanu stared at the album, overwhelmed by the thoughtfulness of the gesture. He looked up at Mia, his eyes glistening with emotion. "This is the best gift anyone has ever given me," he said sincerely. "Thank you, Mia. You remind me every day of how beautiful life can be." Tears welled up in Mia's eyes, but she blinked them away, smiling brightly. "I'll always remember what you did for me," she said. "No matter where I go or what I do, I'll carry this with me." From that moment on, their relationship deepened even further. They continued to share stories, laughter, and dreams, building a friendship that transcended age, background, and circumstance. Keanu often marveled at how much Mia had taught him about resilience, gratitude, and the importance of showing up for others. In return, he hoped he had given her something equally valuable, the knowledge that she was never alone. As the seasons changed, so did the neighborhood. Leaves turned golden and fell, giving way to crisp winter mornings and eventually the promise of spring. Through it all, Mia and Keanu remained constants in each other's lives. Their daily waves evolved into longer conversations, shared meals, and adventures around town. What started as a simple tradition had transformed into a lifelong connection, one rooted in kindness, humility, and the belief that even the smallest acts of love could change the world. Years later, When Mia looked back on her childhood, she remembered those mornings vividly. She recalled the warmth of Keanu's smile, the sound of his voice, and the unwavering support he offered when she needed it most. And though she grew older and moved on to new chapters in her life, she never stopped waving to him whenever their paths crossed. Because for Mia, Keanu wasn't just a neighbor or a celebrity. He was family, a reminder that in a world full of uncertainties, there will always be people willing to stand by your side, offering a wave, a smile, or a helping hand. As Mia grew older, life began to change in subtle yet significant ways. She entered high school, made new friends, and discovered passions she never knew she had. Art became her favorite subject, and she spent hours sketching and painting, pouring her emotions onto canvas. Her teachers praised her talent, encouraging her to pursue it further. Yet amidst all the excitement and growth, one thing remained constant: her bond with Keanu. Every morning, rain or shine, Mia still stood on the corner of her street, waving enthusiastically as Keanu stepped out of his house. The routine had become a cherished part of their lives, a symbol of the journey they'd shared together. To Mia, it was more than just a greeting. It was a reminder of how far she'd come, and the person who had helped her along the way. For Keanu, it was a moment of peace and connection, a chance to start each day with a smile. But as time passed, their relationship evolved beyond the simple act of waving. They began spending more time together, sharing meals, taking walks, and talking about everything under the sun. Keanu listened intently as Mia spoke about her dreams of becoming an artist, her fears about the future, and her excitement over small victories like acing a test or finishing a challenging project. In return, he shared stories from his own life, his struggles, triumphs, and the lessons he'd learned along the way. One evening, as they sat on Keanu's porch watching the sunset, Mia turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "Do you ever feel like life is too big sometimes?" she asked. "Like there's so much happening and you don't know where to start?" Keanu nodded slowly, understanding exactly what she meant. "All the time," he admitted. "But I've found that focusing on the little things helps, like waves, smiles, or even moments like this. Those small things add up and make life meaningful." Mia smiled, absorbing his words. "That's why I love our mornings," she said softly. "It's not just the wave. It's knowing that someone cares enough to notice." Her comment stayed with Keanu long after their conversation ended. It reminded him of the power of presence, the idea that simply being there for someone could have a profound impact. He thought about how Mia's illness had brought them closer, teaching him lessons he carried into every aspect of his life. Helping her wasn't just about providing resources or solving problems. It was about showing up consistently, listening, without judgment, and offering support in whatever form it was needed. As Mia's confidence grew, so did her ambitions. She decided to enter a local art competition, submitting a painting inspired by her journey through illness and recovery. The piece depicted two figures standing on opposite sides of a street, connected by a bright beam of light. One figure was small and vibrant, while the other was tall and steady, a reflection of her relationship with Keanu. When the winners were announced, Mia's painting took second place, earning praise from judges and attendees alike. On the night of the awards ceremony, Keanu surprised Mia by attending. He sat quietly in the back of the room, clapping proudly as she walked up to accept her prize. Later, when they met outside, Mia threw her arms around him, tears streaming down her face. "I couldn't have done it without you," she whispered. "You believed in me before I believed in myself." Keanu hugged her tightly, feeling a swell of pride. "You did this all on your own," he replied. "Your strength and creativity are incredible. Don't ever forget that." The following year brought new challenges and opportunities for both of them. Mia started volunteering at a community center, teaching art classes to younger children. Watching her interact with the kids filled Keanu with admiration. She had a natural ability to connect with others, using her experiences to inspire and uplift those around her. Meanwhile, Keanu continued working on projects that aligned with his values, supporting causes related to health, education, and the arts. Though their schedules became busier, they always found time for each other. whether it was grabbing coffee or going for a bike ride. One afternoon, as they strolled through a nearby park, Mia stopped suddenly, pointing to a bench beneath a large oak tree. "Let's sit here for a minute," she said, her tone unusually serious. Keanu followed her gaze, sensing that something was on her mind. "What's going on?" he asked gently, sitting beside her. Mia hesitated, fiddling with the hem of her sweater. "I've been thinking a lot lately," she began, "about how much you've done for me and how grateful I am, but also about how I want to pay it forward. I want to help other people the way you helped me." Keanu smiled, touched by her determination. "That's wonderful," he said. "What do you have in mind?" "Well," Mia continued, her voice growing more confident, "I was thinking about starting a foundation, something that supports kids with rare diseases and their families. It would provide resources, raise awareness, and maybe even fund research. I know it sounds crazy, but I think we could really make a difference." Keanu's eyes widened in surprise. "It doesn't sound crazy at all," he said earnestly. "In fact, it sounds perfect. If anyone can do it, it's you." Over the next few months, Mia threw herself into planning the foundation, seeking advice from Keanu and others who had experience in similar ventures. Together, they brainstormed ideas, drafted proposals, and reached out to potential partners. Keanu used his connections to introduce Mia to influential figures in the medical and nonprofit worlds, helping her build a strong network of supporters. Slowly but surely, her vision began to take shape. The launch event for the foundation was held in the same backyard where Mia had hosted her thank you party years earlier. This time, however, the gathering was larger and more formal, attracting donors, activists, and media representatives. As Mia stood at the podium addressing the crowd, Keanu watched from the sidelines, beaming with pride. Her speech was heartfelt and inspiring, recounting her personal story and explaining the mission of the foundation. By the end of the night, pledges of support poured in, ensuring that the organization would have a solid start. In the years that followed, Mia's foundation grew into a force for good, touching countless lives across the country. Families dealing with rare diseases found comfort and assistance, knowing they weren't alone. Researchers received funding to explore innovative treatments, bringing hope to patients and caregivers alike. Through it all, Mia remained humble, crediting her success to the people who had supported her, including Keanu. For Keanu, seeing Mia flourish was a source of immense joy. He often reflected on how their friendship had transformed both of their lives. What began as a simple wave had blossomed into a partnership rooted in kindness, trust, and shared purpose. It reinforced his belief in the ripple effect of compassion, the idea that one small act could spark a chain reaction of positivity. Even as Mia's responsibilities increased, their daily tradition endured. Each morning, they greeted each other with the same warmth and sincerity that had defined their relationship from the start. To outsiders, it might have seemed like a trivial gesture, but to them, it was sacred, a testament to the enduring power of human connection. One crisp autumn morning, as golden leaves swirled around them, Mia turned to Keanu with a mischievous grin. "Do you remember the first time we waved to each other?" she asked. Keanu chuckled, nodding. "How could I forget? You looked so determined standing there with your backpack and your big smile." "I didn't know then how much that wave would mean to me," Mia said softly, "or how much you'd come to mean to me." Keanu placed a hand on her shoulder, his expression tender. "And I didn't know how much you'd teach me about courage, gratitude, and the beauty of simply showing up. You've changed my life, Mia." They stood there for a moment, the world around them quiet and still. The bond they shared transcended words, built on years of mutual respect, laughter, and unwavering support. As they waved goodbye and went their separate ways, ready to face whatever the day might bring, they carried with them the knowledge that some connections are timeless, rooted not in grand gestures but in the quiet, steadfast presence of someone who truly cares. Years passed, and Mia grew into a young woman full of ambition and purpose. Her foundation had become a beacon of hope for families facing rare diseases, providing not only financial assistance but also emotional support and community. She traveled across the country, speaking at conferences, meeting patients, and advocating for better healthcare policies. Despite her busy schedule, she never lost sight of the values that had guided her journey: kindness, resilience, and gratitude. Keanu, too, continued to live a life marked by humility and generosity. Though his career kept him occupied, he always made time for Mia. Their bond remained as strong as ever, built on years of shared experiences and mutual respect. They still waved to each other every morning, a ritual that had become a cornerstone of their lives. To them, it was more than just a gesture. It was a reminder of where they had started and how far they had come together. One spring morning, as the sun peeked over the horizon, Keanu stepped outside to find Mia waiting on the corner with an unusually nervous expression. He approached her with a smile, sensing that something important was on her mind. "Morning," he said warmly. "You look like you've got something to tell me." Mia took a deep breath, her hands fidgeting with the strap of her bag. "I do," she admitted, "but I'm not sure how to say it." Keanu tilted his head, his curiosity piqued. "Take your time," he encouraged. "You know you can tell me anything." After a moment of hesitation, Mia blurted out, "I got accepted into art school." For a split second, there was silence. Then Keanu's face broke into a wide grin. "That's amazing," he exclaimed, pulling her into a tight hug. "Congratulations, Mia, I'm so proud of you." Tears welled up in Mia's eyes as she hugged him back. "Thank you," she whispered. "I couldn't have done it without your support. You've been there for me through everything." Keanu shook his head, his voice soft but firm. "You did this all on your own. Your talent, hard work, and determination made it happen. But if I played even a small part in helping you get here, then I'm honored." The news of Mia's acceptance sparked excitement throughout the neighborhood. Neighbors congratulated her, sharing stories of how they'd watched her grow from a spirited child into a driven young woman. Sarah, Mia's mother, cried tears of joy, overwhelmed by how far her daughter had come since those difficult days when illness had threatened to overshadow her future. As Mia prepared to leave for art school, she and Keanu spent more time together, cherishing the moments before her departure. They reminisced about their early mornings, hospital visits, and the countless conversations that had strengthened their friendship. One evening, as they sat on Keanu's porch watching the stars, Mia turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "I'm going to miss our waves," she said quietly. "It's silly, I know, but it's such a big part of my life." Keanu nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. "It's not silly at all," he replied. "Those waves mean a lot to me too. But hey, just because you're leaving doesn't mean we can't keep doing it. We'll adapt." Mia smiled, her eyes lighting up. "What do you mean?" "Well," Keanu explained, "we live in a world full of technology now. If you're ever missing home or just want to say hi, send me a message, or better yet, a selfie of you waving. I'll do the same whenever I think of you." The idea brought comfort to Mia, knowing that their connection wouldn't fade despite the distance. "Deal," she said, holding out her pinky finger. "Pinky promise?" Keanu laughed, linking his pinky with hers. Pinky promise. When the day finally came for Mia to leave for art school, the neighborhood gathered to see her off. Friends, family, and neighbors lined the street, cheering and waving as she climbed into the car. Keanu stood near the front, his arms crossed and a proud smile on his face. As the car pulled away, Mia rolled down the window and waved furiously, her heart swelling with gratitude and love. At art school, Mia thrived. She immersed herself in her studies, honing her skills and exploring new techniques. Her professors praised her creativity and dedication, and her classmates admired her warmth and positivity. Yet, no matter how busy she became, she never forgot her roots. Every few weeks, she sent Keanu photos of her artwork, updates on her classes, and, true to their promise, selfies of her waving. In return, Keanu responded with stories from home, pictures of Max growing older, and reminders of how proud he was of her. During her first winter break, Mia returned home, eager to share her experiences with Keanu and her family. The neighborhood hadn't changed much. It was still the same quiet tree-lined street she remembered. But seeing everyone again filled her with nostalgia. On her first morning back, she woke up early, unable to contain her excitement. She hurried to the corner where Keanu was already waiting, coffee mug in hand. "Morning," he said, his voice warm with affection. "Welcome home." Mia beamed, waving enthusiastically. "Good to be back." They spent the next hour catching up, talking about everything from her classes to his latest projects. It felt as though no time had passed at all. Their connection was as strong as ever. Over the course of her visit, Mia noticed how much Keanu had influenced her perspective on life. His humility, kindness, and unwavering support had shaped her into the person she was today. She realized that while she had grown and changed, the core values she held dear were a reflection of the lessons she'd learned from him. Before returning to school, Mia decided to paint a special piece as a gift for Keanu. It depicted two figures standing on opposite sides of a street, connected by a glowing beam of light. One figure was small and vibrant, while the other was tall and steady, a nod to their enduring friendship. At the bottom of the canvas, she wrote a simple message. "To Keanu, my hero and my friend, thank you for being my light." When she presented the painting to him, Keanu was speechless. He stared at it for a long time, his eyes glistening with emotion. "This is incredible," he finally managed to say. "I'll treasure it forever." Mia hugged him tightly, feeling a surge of gratitude. "You've given me so much," she said. "This is just a small way of saying thank you." As the years went by, Mia's career blossomed. She became a renowned artist, known for her ability to capture the beauty of human connection in her work. Her paintings were displayed in galleries around the world, inspiring viewers with their depth and emotion. Through it all, she remained grounded, crediting her success to the people who had supported her along the way, especially Keanu. Keanu, meanwhile, continued to live a life of quiet fulfillment. He cherished the memories he shared with Mia, often reflecting on how their friendship had enriched his life. Though fame and fortune surrounded him, he found the greatest joy in the simple things: a morning wave, a heartfelt conversation, or the knowledge that he had made a difference in someone's life. One summer afternoon, years after Mia had graduated from art school, she returned home for a visit. As she walked down the familiar street, she spotted Keanu sitting on his porch reading a book. He looked up and saw her approaching, his face breaking into a wide smile. "Hey, stranger," he called out, setting the book aside. "What brings you here?" Mia grinned, holding up a framed photo. It was a picture of the two of them taken during her high school graduation, both of them waving happily at the camera. "I just wanted to remind you of something," she said, handing it to him. "No matter where life takes us, some things never change." Keanu chuckled, taking the frame and examining it fondly. "You're right," he said. "Some things are timeless." Together they sat on the porch, talking and laughing as the sun dipped below the horizon. The neighborhood was quiet, bathed in the golden glow of twilight. For Mia and Keanu, it was a moment of pure contentment, a reminder that even the simplest connections could leave the deepest impact. Their story, born from a daily wave, had transformed into a lifelong friendship, proving that kindness, trust, and presence were the truest measures of a meaningful life.